All right, guys, and welcome to episode 5 of the Midfield 4 podcast. Again, back for another week. We've got lots to cover as per. We've got a lot of transfer rumours and done deals to go over this week. Obviously, small roundup of the week's football as well as our quiz and more. So we'll get straight into it and introduce the 3 normal co-hosts. No one's let us down yet and dipped an episode yet, so we've done well so far. Tay, how you doing this evening?
Excellent, mate. A little bit tired. Someone kept us waiting, but other than that, I'm good.
There's always one in there.
Always one.
You. Jamil, how are you?
Yeah, good mate. Exam season, so
Yeah,
studying
it's for
hard.
a lot of people. Wish you the best of luck. Matt, how are you?
Great, thank you, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, mate. Just got back from the Youth Cup final, which was class. Haven't got too much time to talk about it, but great occasion, quality. Yeah, we'll get straight into it. We'll start with the quiz, as always. It's come back to me as the quiz master today, and I'm going to shake it up a little bit. Rather than just doing the normal 5-question format, I have got a category where there's 50 possible answers, and we're going to go through each person, and they've got to name a different answer until you can't possibly name one, if you know what I mean.
I'm defo crumbling instantly. I
So,
forgot we were doing this.
I'll
I
allow
wasn't
one.
built for this.
I'll allow one incorrect answer, and I'll allow. Yeah, you can have one incorrect answer, and then you're sort of getting about 10 seconds to answer. If you stutter for a long time, you're out. So one incorrect answer, and if it's a repeat answer, I'll just say, and then you can go for another one within the time.
I promise you I won't lose this.
What if we just go on for like an hour with this?
Don't even know the category yet. It's only 50 possible answers, so
Perfect.
if you get all 50, I'd be absolutely stunned. Right. So the category is teams that have played in the Premier League since the reformat of the Premier League in 1992.
Okay.
So there's 50 possible answers. Obviously, you can include the 2 teams that have come out this season because they were already in it before. So yeah, there's 50 possible answers. Does anybody have a preference of going first? No, I'll go Tay first, then Demil, then Matt, just because that's what order you're on my screen. So Tay, take it away.
Okay, we're going to start with Manchester City.
Demil,
Man United.
Matt,
Arsenal.
just keep going around.
Chelsea.
Or me. Liverpool.
Sheffield United.
Fair.
That's me, innit? So was it Arsenal?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arsenal, yeah.
That's how was that?
I just said that, yeah.
Tottenham, sorry. Go on.
Not for me. That's like 15 seconds.
I'll
West-
allow it.
Okay. Tottenham Hotspur, please.
Yeah, West Ham.
Everton.
Palace.
Sunderland.
West Brom.
Newcastle.
Blackburn.
Wolves.
Bolton.
My guy froze.
Leicester.
Crystal Palace.
Had that.
Oh, is it?
You can have that. It's fine. You just give me a one.
No,
Oh,
Wigan.
okay.
No.
Brentford.
Wigan.
Norwich.
Ipswich.
Yeah, that's right.
Southampton.
Had that.
My bad. Oh, God. We're crumbling. Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Charlton.
Hey?
Charlton.
Yeah, that's fine.
Leeds.
Derby.
Ipswich.
Had that.
What?
Oh.
10 seconds.
That's got to be time.
Three.
No.
2. He's gone.
Okay.
He's gone. There's 2 left. 2 left. Matt and Tay. Matt, you can carry on whenever.
Just had an answer and forgot it. Brilliant.
10 seconds.
Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
Everton.
Had it.
Already said.
Oh,
that.
no. I meant Brighton.
Brighton's fine. Yeah.
Burnley.
Good shout.
Oh, God. You stunned me.
10 seconds.
That's fine. We have Fulham.
5. No.
Oh.
Oh,
Newcastle.
Had it.
Have we? Oh, okay. Could be for Nick. Stoke City.
Good shout.
Stoke. Wow. Oh my god, I don't even know. Swansea. Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh no. Cardiff.
Yeah.
Ah,
Great effort, to be fair.
Reading.
well,
We have
Reading's
Reading.
fine. Reading's fine.
Reading's a great one. Come on.
I reckon there's about 10 left.
Is it really that little?
Yeah.
I got one more. That's what I
I
got.
can't think of one. This is looking a bit ropes.
10 seconds.
Come on, I got this. Did I say Shrewsbury? That's fun.
That's got to be
Can't think
game.
of one.
That's got to be
Can't
game.
think of one. Fair play.
Tay has took the prize. I've got the list up here. I'll try and name the ones that I think you missed.
I would have had Huddersfield as well, just to throw in.
Huddersfield.
Okay.
Were there any like obvious ones we missed?
Did we have Aston Villa?
Did we miss out Villa entirely?
Barnsley, Birmingham, Blackpool.
I said
Birmingham.
Birmingham as well. I said Birmingham said.
Blackpool's a good one, but you
Coventry.
forget about those. I think I said
Huddersfield,
Coventry.
Hull City.
Yeah.
Oldham.
Wait, Wigan as well. Did we say Wigan?
Yeah, we had Wigan.
Yeah, you said
okay.
QPR, Sheffield Wednesday, Swindon Town, and Wimbledon.
A lot of them are quite obvious, but
Last few I weren't getting, but the
Yeah,
rest.
that was a pretty good effort, to be fair. But Tay, I'm pretty sure that's your first point on the board. So congratulations. Let me know if you guys enjoyed that sort of difference in the quiz. But if you guys want to follow that path, feel free. If not, who was second last time? I can't remember. I think Matt might have been second.
was it not me again? To you?
I think I got like 2 points and take.
No, I mean the
was
second
Matt.
quiz
No,
Matt.
it was
Oh,
Tay.
okay,
First
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll sort that out for next week. Anyway, we'll get on to the main bulk of the show now. We will talk about transfers today, and the main one that's gone through this week, which is pretty big in the footballing world, is we all knew it was going to happen, but it did get finalised pretty quickly, and that is Erling Haaland to Manchester City, which is now done. Obviously, it's a massive move, and he's with one of the best strikers around. A lot of people seem to think this is a league done for the next 5 or 10 years. Not sure I agree with that, but we'll talk about that now. Tay, I'll come to you first. Being a Liverpool supporter, obviously, none of our teams, unfortunately, are quite near as City as you are. So do you think this stretches the gap as much as people are saying, or?
No, because I think City have the biggest variety of world-class players probably in the world. And I think regardless of who goes in, one of those has got to come out as a starting 11. I appreciate it just makes the squad bigger as well. But I think they're the best team in England anyway before that, and I would have backed them even before the transfer window to go ahead and win it next year. It's just whether we can, even keep as close to them, if you ask me. But I don't think it's a signing that's going to win them something, because I think other than the Champions League, which they've been, I'm going to be honest, very unlucky in, like they would have won it anyway. I think they'll win the league next year. And, I don't think this signing will push them over the edge for a Champions League. But, I think they are due another good run at it. And why not?
I think I think it's very lazy to just say, oh, KDB whipping crosses into Haaland, they're going to score another 50 goals a season. I'm not quite sure that's how it works, because they will have to change the way they're currently playing.
I also saw something like, oh, can you imagine Haaland on the end of De Bruyne's crosses in the air? It's like, have you ever watched Haaland? Like, have you ever seen Haaland score a header? Find me a clip of Haaland scoring a header, and I'll PayPal you.
I think he scored 2 in his career or something like that. So,
Yeah, that's mad. But obviously, I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's not a good signing, because of course it is. He is one of the best strikers around. But I don't think people seem to think it's just going to fit like a glove. But at the minute they're playing like Foden or Grealish or Sterling as the number 9. But
they're completely different, though, aren't they?
Yeah, Haaland is a completely different proposition, and if they can make it work, I'm sure it will be brilliant, and he'll probably score a lot of goals. But I think the main thing it will give them is, if they're struggling in a game, this is somebody who can 100% pop up and score a goal out of nothing. Whereas, they've obviously got the profiles that can do that now, but, this is one of the best 9s about. So I think that's probably the biggest quality he is going to bring to the team, the ability to score goals in big moments. But again, I don't think it gives them any more opportunities of winning the Champions League or league, because it just adds another brilliant player to an already brilliant squad. And as stupid as this sounds, can they get any better? Is that even possible? you know, because at the minute they're going to win the league this season on like 95 points or something like that. They're only dropping like 20 points all season already. Is it even possible to improve this team, or is this just like another cog in the pet machine, if you get what I mean?
I think like I said earlier, it's just a case of them keeping on top of it rather than it is an improvement to their squad, but they can't really get much better than they are.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
You know,
I feel like I offer a different perspective in that sense. Not that I think he's going to win them Champions Leagues. Maybe long term, you know, who knows? It does seem like a matter of time whether they do, but you know, who knows? Is that such a mental block? But in terms of the league, when you think about when City went through the bit of a run where I think it was just before they played United, they drew to Palace, they drew a few other games, Southampton, when they looked a bit unstuck against teams which sat off or had an organised mid-block. And I think Spurs, another one, particularly that 1-0 at the start of the season. They won't really need to change system too much, as when they're playing against sides like that, where they just need that one goal, they can dominate as it is, and they'll have so much of the ball that it will just give them that extra goal threat. And, you know, in instances, you'll see like a rebound not go in, or just a great ball put, like the amount of great balls from Cancelo or a De Bruyne or a Bernardo, etc. No one's there. Obviously, Sterling's phenomenal movement-wise, but you've got an instinctive number 9 movement-wise to finish those chances off. I think you will be looking at closing quite a few points in the league, presuming you can stay fit. Because if you think of it logically, you've got, as I say, that Spurs game that's cancelled out. Essentially, someone like Haaland is the guy you need in that sort of game. Southampton maybe, and Palace definitely, because it is just so close for them to pretty much winning every game, really, to be fair. Obviously, that won't happen, but I think that is the difference between getting quite a few wins in a season instead of draws or narrow losses.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. It will obviously add a different dimension as well. Like, Pep never really played with that sort of player, so it will be interesting to see how it works. And as for the amount of goals we think he's going to score in the league,
12.
12.
All comes down to availability.
Yeah, that's one thing I was about to say. Is crucial he stays fit, because his injury record this season especially has been pretty poor. But say he plays 38 games in the league, I would expect him to score. He won't play 38 games, so let's say 35. I would expect him to score between 20 and 25. I think it's probably about right. Don't know if you agree with that or not.
Yeah,
So maybe
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Just to win them out, chances City create.
Their goals are so spread out though already. Like,
yeah,
their top, like Gundogan was their top scorer last season, which is mental.
It depends how Haaland is used. If he is used as that focal point, I heard Pep today saying he's gonna fit them well. He's gonna adjust to them very easily. So it depends whether Pep switches it up a bit and uses him as a focal point, or whether he transitions Haaland games so a bit more fluid to the likes of the forwards, and like Foden, Sterling. We've seen Jesus play there as well. So if we're talking about focal point, I do expect Haaland to get roughly 20 goals, 18 minimum maybe. Just considering the amount of chances they create. I mean, the volume's so high, but it just depends how well he adjusts to the league, and how quickly he can score the goals.
Yeah, for sure. And is there any chance he flops?
yes,
You think?
yeah. Don't get me wrong. I was a massive fan of him, and don't get me wrong, I still am. Yeah.
No, I'm a hater.
I'm a big fan of this game, but this is one on the basis of not being able to adjust, which is completely hypothetical, because I think he will fit in well. Like Pep Guardiola is far from an idiot. And number 2, injury records. He's still so young, but it's not looking great. Who knows? Number 3, and I have a theory with signings from the Bundesliga. There is no instant impact from the Bundesliga that I've seen in the last 5-10 years that's coming to the Premier League. And I think Haaland is a different type of player in the
Sané.
But Sané,
Yeah,
it was not like he wasn't putting up the numbers he was putting up in 17, 18, 19 title race. He was so young. He was so young.
You could say second season.
Aubameyang, to be fair.
Yeah, second season. Yeah, true. Maybe I'm just.
There will be examples though. Like, of course,
course.
there'll be examples to prove it wrong. Like,
And my big problem is with Haaland, this Haaland signing. I did think they needed a striker, and I think it should have been Harry Kane instead of Jack Grealish in the summer. But you already talk about the City's depth and how much availability and options they have on the bench. And Ethan just mentioned, Grealish is either playing in the 9 or Foden or someone's playing across that. Who drops out now?
Could you not say as well, though, City are in quite an interesting position in the sense of, obviously, they've got the best of everything. But when you think of their attackers, obviously, you've got Alvarez coming in, Haaland coming in.
Oh, yeah, Alvarez.
Then you've got, but then you've got, obviously, Foden as well. But in terms of players who play in the offensive third, you've got Mahrez, who's been briefly linked with away, and what's he, 30-ish or 29? You've got Sterling, who's been linked with moves away. You've got Jesus, who's heavily been linked with moves away. And you've got... I think there's one more player. I might be wrong there, but I think it's just interesting to think because they have so many top tier attackers, or players you consider top tier attackers, but most of them could be leaving, or one or two could be leaving at least.
I can't see more. I can't see more than Jesus leaving this summer.
You think?
Yeah, I think
maybe 2 out because they're already struggling for places already. And the thing is with Haaland, with De Bruyne, obviously subject to Champions League rotation and such. I think those are the two that are pretty much shoehorned in the team every single week. Whereas now nobody in that attack is shoehorned into the team every single week. So then you've got, to say he's the centre forward, obviously, and then you've got the 2 wide areas where you've got sort of Sterling, Grealish, Jesus. You said, he's probably off. Mahrez, Foden, and Alvarez. So even if Jesus goes, I'm pretty sure that's 5 players for 2 positions. So if you put it that way, it would make sense to offload 2. Obviously, we'll talk about it a bit more when we know a bit more about what's happening. But if you're looking at their options now, I think Foden's probably, still makes their best team. And Mahrez has played a lot this season. But again, I think if Pep really had him to start so many games next season, he wouldn't be getting linked with a move away. So can't see Alvarez getting thrown in straight away as a regular starter. I'm sure he'd be bedded in. And I'm sure he'd be a fantastic player as well, by the way. So be interesting. Maybe if Sterling's going to get back in the side, it'd be interesting to see. But who knows at this point? There's still a lot of business to be done at City, for sure. Just quickly, we'll talk about Haaland's replacement, who was announced pretty quickly. Karim Adeyemi going to Dortmund from Salzburg. This just looks like a good move for all parties, to be honest. Fantastic player. I can't say I've watched loads of him, but when I have, he's looked very, very good. Goal scoring record's brilliant. He's already capped for Germany, already scored for Germany. Very young player who I'm sure will, double or triple his value at Dortmund, because that seems to be how it works all the time. But Dortmund always just seem to, they always have a very exciting team. Like him and Bellingham together will be very, very good. Do you guys? I know you're a fan of Adeyemi, aren't you, Tay?
Yeah, we played Salzburg in the Champions League, and we played him in pre-season as well. So I've watched him a handful of times, and also when they played Sevilla, I think he won both the penalties in the game.
Yeah.
Considering that Salzburg team have an average age of, I think, something ridiculous like 22. They really held their own, and he was the vocal point of that. He was that guy. And yeah, I think we were linked with him for a while, but it is such a Dortmund signing, isn't it? How many times have we seen that club make smart signings? I like the way they did it. Knew they were losing Haaland, put it off. And they got their man, and they announced it on the same day. So as the Dortmund fan, you're never going to be the big fish anymore, especially not in Europe. We're competing with teams like Man City, but having a reliable foundation to bring in a potential world beater in Adeyemi, even though I think he played for Bayern Munich as a child as well. So they got him in. I think it's just top business, isn't it? Like you say, he could kick on and be a better player than Haaland, which I very much doubt. But would you put it past Dortmund's recruitment team? Absolutely not.
No.
Could you also?
Dortmund's perfect club for him to develop. Sorry, Matt, I'll let you speak a sec. But just to say, I feel like Dortmund just picks up these gems constantly. Adeyemi is such a young, exciting prospect, and under Dortmund's development and coaching, the way they play, the environment for Adeyemi to excel, it looks such a smart business for Dortmund and for Adeyemi and for Salzburg. I have nothing really else to say until other than the fact that it's a great move for all parties.
I was just thinking, on one hand, I'm always being a feeder club, supporting a feeder club must feel really bad, because any sort of top player you have, they go, your Haaland, your Sancho, your Bellingham's inevitably. But then on another hand, I was just thinking now, do you not get a new market opportunity because you're that club which essentially develops players, and although they're going away, you get an opportunity to sign big names, like really, really big youngster names, which other teams wouldn't have the ability to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I was speaking to, I'm glad you brought that up because I was about to bring it up anyway. I was speaking to my mate about this on the train earlier. I don't see like where are Dortmund ever going to like properly challenge though? Like this is a bit off topic, but like the Bundesliga is such a monopoly, and I know people joke about it, and I don't like to joke about it because I think it's a very entertaining league. But even Leipzig, they've got all this money, yet every single time they get a half decent player come up, he's just gone within a year or so. And it's just like, is this ever going to end? Like,
no.
How are these teams possibly going to compete with Bayern Munich when, like, Nkunku's had a phenomenal season this year, but he will leave in the summer. Yeah. Like, Haaland obviously is one of the best players Bundesliga has seen in recent times, that he will go. Sancho was phenomenal, and they've probably got longer out of him than, they usually do with these sort of players. But again, gone. Bellingham, as much as they'll make money, he's also going to go. Like, it's all good making this money, but are they ever going to be able to sustain
I think it's different with some clubs. Dortmund just doesn't strike me as a club as their ambition or their target every season is to compete. I think it's to make profit, make revenue, build an exciting team that fans like to watch and support. And sometimes that's okay for clubs. I feel like from a fan's how do you say the word? Perspective. It's obviously frustrated sometimes. And I don't know how Dortmund fans feel, but obviously you'd want your team to be challenging, and Dortmund have the facilities to do that, as do Leipzig. But as you say, it's a monopoly, and Bayern always take their best players off of them.
It just almost feels like, what are you exactly building for, in a sense? And like, I'm sure supporting Dortmund, like, there's worse clubs to support. Wow, their support's incredible. They got great Champions League nights. They get to see these great players. But in a sense, like, you almost always want to be building towards something, like, at least as bad as United are at the minute, at least we know that the long-term aim is to get right back up to the top.
Hang on though. With influence to Dortmund though, I think obviously they can't keep all of their best players. I don't know how much longer Bellingham's going to be there. Haaland's obviously gone. Sancho is obviously gone. But it was only last year they brought in one of the most promising young German coaches in Marco Rose, and they've made some really smart signings. Adeyemi's come in, Schlotterbeck from Freiburg as well, Nicolas Süle on a free. Like they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm not doubting that. I just think it's really
there's definitely a project there, but I don't think that project will ever trump.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think Dortmund's.
I think their project has player and interests at heart. So obviously, they'll think for themselves, all right, we want to make a profit because that's the type of club they are. But someone like Schlotterbeck, if he wanted to go to Bayern in 3 years' time or something, they're not the type of club which is going to hold you back. And that's kind of what I was saying as well.
Dortmund are probably one of the best growing clubs around, and I'm not criticising them. It's just a bit, this league just baffles me. It's just never going to change, is it? Like, ever.
No, it's not.
Could you not say as well, though, like, in a weird sense, that Bundesliga, like, not coaches, like recruitment coaches, trust their recruitment and the profiles which can come into the Bundesliga so highly that they can afford to be flipping these top players for cheap, for expensive, and then buy.
They obviously trust their methods, don't they? Like, they almost know that they're always going to find an adequate replacement, which again is a very sustainable way of running it, and it's quite exciting in a sense. But yeah,
for example, like just a random example off my head, Upamecano left Leipzig. They get Josep Gvardiol, I think his name is. Yeah. And now you've got a bunch of top teams in for him as well. So it's a never-ending cycle, really.
It just means they're never going to be able to properly kick on and make that next step. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I bet Dortmund will win the league next year and make us all look like mugs, but we'll see. The last sort of transfer I want to talk about, which is one that's come very out of the blue tonight, and I don't really know what to think of it. As I was leaving the ground, I saw that a tier 1 journalist for Barcelona News, Gerard Romero, seems to think that Frenkie De Jong is 95% coming to Manchester United, which I was absolutely baffled by, and I don't really know what to think. A few reports have come out more recently denying it, but whether that means anything or not, I don't know. I'm certainly not getting my hopes up, but definitely exciting to see, and it would be a signing that I would be heavily for. Certainly a big statement signing for sure, and it is a good profile to bring in to replace Paul Pogba. And if we could get that player over the line. You know, again, I said this to you guys earlier, we'll need to buy a DM with him, but it would certainly be promising. Again, I'm sure we'll find out more news tomorrow. When you guys are watching or listening to this, I'm sure you guys will know a bit more, but that's all we know for now. But Demil, I'll come to you first. I'm guessing you would be, you know, ecstatic with this signing if it was to materialise.
100%. He's I'll say, one of the few players available that actually can replace Pogba like for like. Has a unique profile, and if he comes to our club, I'll be absolutely ecstatic. I feel like, as you say, we do definitely need another midfielder, like another holding, like a proper holding defensive midfielder to go alongside with him. But the more I think about the move, it just makes a lot of sense. You know,
it does. It's just too good to be true in my head.
Yeah, but like if you look at what's being reported, Barcelona are only offloading him because they need to finance his economic decision. He's the only real asset who can actually, you know, get money from. Memphis isn't really going to sell that much. Neither is to Stegen. So yeah, that's centre back Orajo, I think.
Yeah, but they're not looking to sell him.
He's only got one contract left, 1 year on his contract left. So
he's just signed one, but yeah, they won't be looking.
Oh, has he?
Anyway.
Okay. So he won't be sold. So yeah, so for Barcelona's perspective, can't even say the words. Perspective, he will. It makes sense to offload him. For us, again, if we're offloading Paul Pogba on a free, we need midfielders. He's a perfect midfielder. I love his profile, and he's gonna be working alongside a manager that absolutely got the best out of him in Ajax, and such a top coach with everything hard. I think it's a no-brainer for me. I do believe we need another midfielder. Likes of maybe Kamara. Tchouaméni, I think, is out of question now, because I think if we sign De Jong for like 70 million euros, it'll be too.
He's going to be the same price. So
exactly, and we don't have that.
You're blowing most of your budget on the midfield, which we do need to do, but there are areas that need addressing as well.
But it's a start. It's a nice start to the window if it is to be true. Obviously, can't get our hopes up too much. It's still only rumours. But like you say, from a tier 1 journalist, you can kind of get excited.
Yeah. I was just absolutely shocked, to be honest. I knew there was a few links, but it's sort of one of those you just brush off and you're like, nah, that won't happen.
Yeah.
As much as it does make sense, but you know, I'm pretty much immune to anything now which isn't reliable because of the amount of players we get linked with every summer. I mean, the season's not even done yet. Like, I dread to think how bad it is going to be. But like I said, it would make sense, and it would be a hell of a statement for sure. Like, you know, our pool never seems to go away somehow, because if I'm looking from the outside looking in, I don't know why all these players and managers continuously want to join us with the state we're in. But
the only problem I would say is that I don't think it's been noted that De Jong's dream club is Barcelona, and he doesn't want to leave. So he would be joining us purely based on the fact that he has to. He's forced. The only thing that potentially can be worked around it is the fact that Erik ten Hag is coming in, and he has a very good relationship with De Jong. So I guess we just have to see how it goes. But yeah, one to look out for sure.
Yeah, sure. Matt, Tay, you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, as you guys said, if you sign him and don't sign a DM, then it's not a pointless per se, because De Jong does so much for your progression, which you really lack in midfield. But if you sign him and you don't sign another, it's like you got. I remember your reference, Tay, last week to jigsaws in the wrong places, or you know, like a bunch of jigsaw pieces put together, which would be quite a United-esque approach with how their recruitment's been. But if they do get De Jong, getting a 6 is absolutely imperative. Really,
we probably think he is a 6. No one else.
He's the loan. You play him. Get Bruno and
you'll have fans putting out dream lineups with Van der Beek, Bruno, and De Jong within the week, no doubt.
But yeah, no.
I heard Mark Goldbridge say.
Oh, don't know what I want to hear it, to be honest. Go on.
Mark Goldbridge was obviously reporting the news because it came, and then he was saying he ties up our defensive midfield needs.
I can't do it anymore.
What I would say is quite interesting about the move as well was, as you say, it's quite tailor-made. There's been some reports denying it. We'll have to wait and see. Time will tell with that. But what is interesting is United, they always seem to make that marquee signing, and they always go for the level raises ahead of the, I guess, the smart signings per se. Not that that's a bad thing, but and previously when they've gone for level raises, they haven't really addressed their needs. Like Sancho, for example, they brought in a left winger when they needed a right winger. But with De Jong, presuming, as I say, they do sign with a 6, it is a transfer which would be like great, a rare profile. And it's a bit baffling if he does go United, particularly with like City, with Gundogan, what, like 30?
I was going
I'm
to say,
sure
is he not a perfect Pep player in this City team?
Yeah,
And they were after him as well in 2019, I think.
might still be. Never know. But
I do
think
think it's different. Sure, it's a marquee signing, but we do need a midfield. Like our midfield options are so thin. Even if we don't sign a DM, and it's typical United to not just think we've solved it already. Pogba's leaving, Matic is leaving, McTominay and Fred is all we got. If one of them is injured, then we're absolutely screwed. So De Jong is still a necessary addition, regardless. To be fair,
I've never even deeped it from an outside point of view. Like I said, if Pogba and Matic are both gone, they are your genuinely only options, aren't they, in midfield? With somebody Fred.
Sorry, we've had to field Bruno in the midfield. We had to put Bruno in midfield recently in recent games, and
we've had Mata playing in the pivot.
Mata in midfield because we are just so thin in our midfielders.
I mean, I'm sure Garner will get a bit of game time, which I am actually for. I think, especially in Europa League games, I think he could have a role to play. But either with Garner, even with De Jong, if that does happen, McTominay, Fred, I feel like you need one more in there because there's no point even putting like Bruno or Van der Beek in that sort of category.
He's coming back. Getting back.
Hey,
Andreas Pereira.
That's actually been a possibility, apparently. We'll see if Ten Hag wants.
Get Adnan Januzaj back.
No, if Ten Hag wants him back, Ten Hag can have him back. I'm going against my word already that I said a few months ago. We trust in him, and De Jong would certainly be a fantastic start. But yeah, we'll move on from that. We'll just touch on this week's sort of Premier League action. Obviously, I don't want to talk about Brighton United at all, to be honest. I'm sure we'll spoke about to death. Yeah, who? Another shout.
I'll be honest, I forgot that happened after Saturday.
I could sit here and rant for another 10 minutes, but if you just want to hear me rant, go back and listen to my one after the Arsenal game, and it's the same points again. It's just the same performance I've seen millions of times. I don't even think we played any worse than we usually do. Brighton just took their chances. Like, we are pathetic.
Do you know what it is? I feel like at this stage, and Gary Neville said it perfectly, they're just ruining the reputation, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just damaging them.
I've never seen two fans who I know care as much as you do care as little about this, and this goes to show how far you've come in a few years.
Honestly, Tay, when the fourth goal went in, I was bursting out of laughter.
I'm done getting angry over the same stuff. Like I've got angry enough times. It's just the same performances, and the summer needs to come. And that's why I enjoyed tonight so much, seeing a United side that actually really care, and you could tell the difference. And hopefully those days will be coming back, because that's the bare minimum. Again, I'm not going to go over the same points. We spoke of this before. It's on our YouTube channel. You can have a look there. Cheeky plug. Anyway, we'll talk about actual good football teams. The title race seems to be done. Unfortunately for you, Tay, drop points. This was a while ago, so we don't want to speak about it too much, but drop points against Spurs, which isn't an awful result, but just in this climate, you just can't afford to drop any points. We knew that. And City with scored 10 goals in the next 2 games and widened the goal difference, which is essentially another point, which pretty much put them within 1 win of the title. I think one more win pretty much gets them there. Obviously, you've still got a lot to fight for on all fronts, but it must be slightly disappointing the way it happened.
I've sort of expected it anyway, to be honest. I've sort of knew City had way too much in the league, and so it's not, it's not heartbreaking for me. But I've just, how many times can we've lost 2 games this season and we're not going to win the league.
Yeah,
that's so bizarre. And like you said, the result itself wasn't too bad, but in the climate of the game, it was poor. We were poor. We were lucky to not lose that game, if you ask me. I think we lost. I think we lost the title when we played City. But we haven't beaten we haven't beaten a top 5, including Liverpool. So we haven't beaten a top 14 this season in the league.
Yeah, that's pretty mad.
No, top 3.
Arsenal.
No, it'll be top 3. Yeah, so we haven't beat Tottenham,
Chelsea.
We haven't Chelsea or City. Like, that's not good enough, man. You can't. Yeah, we've got all these points, and like I say, how can we lose? But then, you have to play. Yeah, we've drawn to Chelsea way too many times. Like, can't break down a deep block. We don't really deserve to. And I saw a video, and I'm going to be honest with you. I doubt he's watching this, and I hope he's not. I'm far from his biggest fan. But that Tom Garrett, I saw he made a good point on it and how to judge a team. And people will go on about European competitions because it is the most prestigious, but the most viable and realistic way to judge a team is over the course of a 38-game season, because there's no luck involved in that. There's no luck involved in that. It goes both ways, and they are a much, much better team than us. And
that's harsh. Much better team.
I think they're a much better team than us.
You're so close to them.
The time just changes.
But how many times have we been so close to them?
Yeah, but
we've been in 4 title races with them, and they've won 3 of them. No.
Yeah, but look at the difference of how of what they won it. City won the league. Was it in 18-19 season? 1 point.
Yeah. This season it'll be 3 points or so.
You've beaten them in the Champions League. You've beaten them in the league. Like it's obviously the stats back it, because City are gonna 3-peat, and how many is it? 4 and 5.
Yeah.
But come on, like you're the biggest challengers to City. We all know that you're so close. I just feel like City've got such massive depth in every department. You're getting closer with the likes of Jota Diaz. But City have just been there already, and they're adding Haaland and Alvarez, and
that's what I mean. They are 3 steps ahead of everyone in the league.
I'd say they're 1 step ahead. I think over a 38-game season, I think they are a better team, and the league does show that. But to say there's miles in it, I think is very, very harsh. And again, there wasn't even supposed to be a title race this season though, because you had a pretty poor, for your standards, pretty poor first half of the season. You're a long way away.
We were 14 points behind in December.
Yeah, you haven't lost a game in 2022.
Pull that back.
Yeah, because City drew.
For what?
Hey?
True.
Yeah, of course. But if you next season, if you've got Diaz from the start, Jota, you've got Kanate probably starting, who's made a big impact. You weren't supposed to be in a title race this season. You were so far off, and a few drop points from City. It was only a few. Draw with Southampton, like you said, draw with Palace, and that was all it took. And you were pretty much flawless, other than drawing with them and drawing with Spurs. You can't say you're miles off. You've won 10 of the last 12 in the league or something like that. And the 2 draws were against City and Spurs.
If you win all your next games, your last 2 games, I think that's something like 16 out of 19 wins. Out of 19.
What, second half season?
Second half of the season.
Yeah.
Mate, that's ridiculous. That's crazy numbers.
This is the thing that annoys me, because no one's gonna remember this. No one, I don't know whoever it is, but you're gonna look back at the Liverpool team and think, oh yeah, it was good, but City won everything. We're the best team to not win anything, I think, ever, and it is bad because it's so demoralising. I think
that's why I think that might be a factor why Jurgen signed a contract. Pep might be going soon. We never know.
I thought that, but these signings he's making, I think he's here for a while.
Yeah.
He's definitely not leaving in 2023 when his contract expires.
You know what, as well? I think it's so easy to, after Liverpool have looked slightly shaky these last few games, and City have run absolutely riot, but it is easy to remember, as I said, when City had that little period and Liverpool were battering teams as well. And I think one thing people don't seem to realise is there's a good reason only one team ever has done the treble in England, and no one's ever done the quadruple. Liverpool have played every single game possible in a season for the first time ever of an English side. And we're talking about, okay, sure, they signed Diaz in January, sure, they signed Konate in summer, but we're talking about a side which is massively invested compared to the likes of City, who they are challenging. And you're talking about a side who were playing Oxlade-Chamberlain on the right not that long ago as a starter.
Yeah.
So when you got to take that into consideration, how difficult it must be to mount a serious league challenge against this Man City side when you're playing in every single possible game this season. Like, I get it.
I think it is starting to show now, though. Like,
yeah, of course, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And I completely get your point. How obviously you might win the Champions League this year. Even then, you will feel like you have underachieved a little bit with this team, and it is just unfortunate that you've run into this Pep Guardiola team, but you're not as far away. I can assure you.
Take even City last season though. Like they were, everyone was like, oh, they're going to do the quadruple, and they ended up winning. Sure, they won the Prem, but they had no challenger, and
cut.
They won the cup. But that's how quick it fades. Though.
If you win the Champions League and the FA Cup, couple that with the Carabao, would you not say that's a success?
Of course it is.
Yeah, of course it is. But I don't think.
I said your favourites in both games. You've got such a great team, such a fantastic manager.
Which makes it worse if we lose. I don't even know why I talk about football because I'm a massive pessimist, to be honest. But we're the only big team that Chelsea ever turn up against, unfortunately. And I just don't see it. I think we might win the FA Cup, but I think the Champions League is a bit. It's a long way away, but it's a bit of a stretch. No one knows what's going on with Fabinho, and a lot of our players are starting to slump as well. Robertson's out of form; he was out of the team. Fabinho it's been shocking. Now he's injured. I don't know what version of Mohamed Salah you guys are watching, but this is not the same guy from 2021. Like, there's a handful of good players in this Liverpool team in a minute, and they're not one of them. Even Trent, for his standards, has dropped, and these are our key players. At the start of the season, obviously Van Dijk's always going to be the most important player in the team, if you ask me, but followed by Trent, Salah, and Fabinho, and them three all out of form. I can't.
Alisson.
I'm trying to stay positive, but they're not. And I said they're not giving me a lot. That's not what I mean. They played every game possible. We have, we're going to finish on 90 points in the league, 91 points, whatever it is. But I'm worried it's all going to be for nothing. Imagine finishing on 90 plus points in the league and, Champions League final, FA Cup final, and finishing with a Carabao Cup. Like, from an outsider's point of view, and I would do the same looking in on an Arsenal or a Man United camp. I'm saying you have a lot of reason to be optimistic, but I've also got a lot of reason to, really, really, really fear that this season could go from one of the potentially best seasons ever to, the most disappointing campaign ever. And I wouldn't put that past us, if I'm being honest.
I think it is weird as well, though, like what you're talking about, Salah and stuff, is one thing I noticed with some of the league's best players or notorious best players, not saying they don't turn up first half of the season, but they turn up second half of the season. Like De Bruyne wasn't the same, Kane wasn't the same. I remember people a few years ago had Kante as finished or whatever you want to call it, and he had a phenomenal second end. So I think it's kind of weird that Salah, he had such a good first half of the season where you're thinking, wow, he's going to break his own goal record. And second half of the season, well, when Salah was in form, you didn't have a Diaz or anything anyway. So he was like a one-man mission in attack. You had Firmino, who bit injury prone, and you had Mane, who was missing however many chances. Remember that Leeds game, and now you've got him in form and Salah out of form, and you can't have the reverse.
They're rarely ever, those two, as good as they are partnership-wise, probably one of the best the Premier League's ever seen. They're rarely in form at the same time, and that's been a thing for especially the last 3 years since we started competing. I remember when we lost the season, we lost out by a point. There was a point where Salah hadn't scored in 6 Premier League games and Mane had scored 10 in his last 10. They never seem to hit the ground running at the same time. And I feel like that's what we need to take us to the next level.
It's why it was so important to invest in the squad depth, though. A few more options in there that you can get away with that as such. But
I'm gonna say it every week until it proves me wrong. I don't know where we'd be without that Luis Diaz signing.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't helped as well. On that note, just one final thing to add is it hasn't helped, for example, the likes of, as I said about Salah and Mane and Jota, they picked up different form, but like Jota, everything's just dried up at the wrong time for you. Because as I said, when you think about City, their best players have become most effective at this point. And at the end of the day, second half of the season's the pressure point. Obviously, first half is as well, I'm not taking that away. But second half is where you get to crunch time, and you have however many games left. You have your last few tough away trips, and that's where you desperately need your Salah. Like if you could trade the first half for the second half, if you had Diaz though, which is why second half you could be next season you could be optimistic with things. But it's
for sure.
It's a weird one.
I mean, and City are literally relentless. Like they got knocked out of the Champions League and then scored 10 in the next 2 games. Like
I saw something today quickly, but just lastly on City. I don't know if it's 60. I don't know if they're on 70 or they're on 60. But obviously, Man United's goal difference is 1, and obviously City are first. But isn't there like 69 goal difference between you two?
Yeah, I will just fact check that. But the fact we're on 1 goal difference is actually laughable. Like,
I think they're on 60 or they're on 70.
It's 72.
Can you finish the season with a positive goal difference? Is the real
Oh my god,
question.
there's 71 in it. Can we move on, please? That is
71 goals.
horrifying.
I'm sorry.
That
Could be worse.
horrifying. I'm traumatized.
Will be worse.
This is a club that's just, with all due respect, they're on a transition now, but this is a club that's just signed Ronaldo, Varane, already Bruno, Rashford, and this Manchester City side is 71 goals ahead of this.
It's quite funny if Palace beat us 2-0 and we end up.
Move on.
Yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about actual bad teams as bad as we are. The relegation battle is nearing its conclusion. And I think a quote from me myself said in the first ever episode of this show that Leeds will be fine. Certainly not looking that way now. And it's come out. I don't actually think they've been that bad. I think they haven't won in 4, but they've had a few tough fixtures. And they just, with Everton and Burnley picking up a few wins, they now found themselves right back in it. Is there a way out?
I mean, their luck's been rotten this season, and these last few games they've lost their heads at the worst possible time. Like, obviously, the James red card against Chelsea, utterly daft. The red card from Ayling against Arsenal, utterly daft. And there's been some unlucky instances. Like, Dallas got that big injury against City, which, to be fair, came from a stupid tackle. And I think Cooper got injured in the warm-up. Rafinha went off injured yesterday. So it was really tough for them. But
their injury luck has been terrible this year.
And then Bamford, obviously.
They've missed
Phillips.
I'd argue Phillips is their most important player generally. And he's been available for every bit of this season. Bamford as well, same point goes though. I just wanted to address one thing, and Leeds are a very weird fan base, but I truly believe if Bielsa, no offense given there, but every fan base has weird fans, but Leeds just seems to be off the scale because anyway, they all think that Bielsa shouldn't have gone, but from an outsider looking in, I reckon they'd have already been down if he stayed. Like they were getting hammered every game with going down with a whimper. He had to go. And Marsh, I think's won 3 since he's come in. Would Bielsa have won 3? I don't know.
I feel sorry for Marsh. 5 games before Bielsa got sacked. In his last 5 games, I think Leeds conceded 20. That's 4 games.
Get them up now. They beat 4-0 against Spurs, 6-0 against Liverpool, 4-2 against United, 3-0 Everton, and 3-3 Villa. So that is like 20 goals in 5 games.
You know what, as well, was obviously Marsh and stuff, but I genuinely don't even think a defensive manager would fix them because of their crowd. When you're at Ellen Road, they don't know how to, sit back and play really defensive. Whatever game they play, they just get absorbed by the crowd, which would usually be a great thing. If you go to Ellen Road, you're kind of dreading it, but when they play such a high line, they go man-to-man pressing with the crowd. They get a bit, whatever, as I said, losing their heads a bit. And before you know it, Chelsea are 1 up in 5 minutes. Arsenal 1 up in 6 minutes, or 2 up in 10. And Chelsea win 3 and Arsenal win 2.
Bielsa has such a unique philosophy, though. Go on.
Yeah, that's what confused me, because that's not his philosophy at all. That's not how he plays. That's literally. I've just been watching Bielsa all over again. I don't know whether the crowd has that kind of effect, but surely it doesn't. Like, it has to be down to players. I mean, whether they get excited because of the adrenaline, I just don't. I feel like they're not disciplined enough. And
yeah, I agree.
But let's not act like Leeds are in terrible form. They've played literally the last 3 games have been Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man City. Before that, they hadn't lost in like 5.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And that Leicester game, which they did lose, they were unlucky as well. They were really good.
They haven't even been bad, but I'm just saying, like, purely like from what I see, it's just not what or it's similar to what Bielsa would play, and like
it's just difficult to change that, isn't it?
The discipline is really worrying.
I think what you'd have to put this all down to in a nutshell for Leeds fans listening, or anyone I think the main thing with Leeds is they've just been dead unlucky with injuries. And I know it's so easy to just blame injuries and whatever. And you could, fault the board or whoever owner-wise is in charge with Leeds, because they've known Bamford's been out for ages and Phillips been out for ages, and they've had other players out for ages. They've known this, and they didn't sign anyone in January.
Did they? Don't think.
Not a single player, and they're the team which needs depth the most, because you take Phillips out the team, they play crazy as it is. You don't have a 6 who can, calm that down. Useless.
How he played so well in
Bamford
that system, I'll have no idea. That's like massively commendable. Like, it's crazy. And I think obviously Leeds last year did phenomenally well because they never really played with any pressure, because they never flirted with relegation. But now they're like desperate for results. They literally look hopeless. And I whether you can say Marsh has done better, you probably could have done better. Sorry, you probably can, but I think it's harsh to put a lot of blame on him. I think Bielsa, Leeds fans are very, very obsessed with Bielsa, and I understand why, because he did a great job there. But it's sort of one of them. It's not. I'm not sure. Obviously I haven't been to a Leeds game, so I'm not sure what the crowd is like in the stadium. But
unbelievable.
Online, it just seems like they're not really behind him, and that's the worst you could be. In a relegation battle. I might be completely wrong. The match going fans might be different, but yeah, I mean, we'll just sort of predict who we think is going to go down. Do we think Everton have done enough now?
Yeah.
You think they
have? Unfortunately, yeah.
They've. I didn't think they had it in them, honestly, to pull it out of the bag. But a win against Chelsea, a win against Leicester, and a draw tonight, which isn't the best result, but in perspective, it's not too bad. So 7 points. It's what we were saying before. All it is back-to-back wins. That's all you need, and it can propel you massively out of trouble, and it has for Everton.
Fair play to Lampard, though, to be honest, because after I saw that Spurs game, I was thinking,
yeah,
what is wrong with this guy? And not because it's against Spurs and they won or whatever, but honestly, I've never seen a worse defensive display or just managerial display against a team which thrives so much off open space ever. And Lampard, ever since then, combined with the Everton fans who've been unbelievable, they've essentially realised, and Anfield was the start of this, we're not winning games by, going toe-to-toe, dominating games, etc. We're winning games by being horrible to play, being a bit toxic, nasty, as old-fashioned or whatever it is to say. When you've got however many games left, that's all you can do. And Everton have really turned the corner just by doing that.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll count them out. Obviously, the other team that we haven't spoke about is Burnley, and they now have a game in hand on Leeds. They do play Spurs, so I'm going to assume. Pardon?
Go on. I was about to say the fixtures are worse. But
yeah. Well, I'll get onto that. But obviously, Spurs, I'm not going to say it's a definite loss, but you'd imagine it'll be a loss. So say that's a loss. They'd then be on, they'd be on the same points with 2 games to go. Leeds have a very, very worse goal difference, so you'd pretty much say Burnley have got a point on them in that sense. So Burnley play Aston Villa away and Newcastle at home, and Leeds play Brighton at home and Brentford away. So it literally looks like it's going to be a shootout for who can get the most points from those games. And I'll tell you what, I really could see Leeds getting a result against Brighton on Sunday, at least a draw.
I mean, you know what? Honestly, I felt like everyone always says everybody eats part of the league, but then you watch these games and you're like, I'm not surprised why. Like, I watched City Wolves today. City were phenomenal yesterday, sorry. But the amount of space in behind, even United, Brighton and stuff, like, it's hilarious amounts of space. And you're just like, it could be like, who knows, any of these games, bar the teams you have something to play for. But then
I just think a Leeds team battling relegation versus a Brighton team that haven't got anything to play for, that is a massive opportunity. And I feel like 3 points is a must in that game.
Yeah, I have to. I feel like it comes down to the last game of the season, because I feel like Aston Villa, I think they can still fight for top. Are they in the top 10? Aston Villa?
Not quite. They could get top 10.
I feel like they can fight for top 10, which I feel
they're 2 points off the top 10.
Yeah, so I feel like Villa could get a result against Burnley, and so it's going to be a shootout between the last game of the season, where I think Burnley go to Burnley at home at Newcastle.
A home game last game of the season is massive, to be honest. I think if Leeds beat Brighton, they will do it and Burnley will go. But if Leeds don't beat Brighton, they can't, for me.
Would you not argue that Burnley with a game in hand are in much better form, though? Like, much better form.
They are.
If you look at game in hand, it's against Spurs. So.
Yeah, but Burnley typically get stuff at Spurs.
I was going to say...
that's not Spurs. I don't want to call Burnley a bogey team, because you could argue they're a bogey team from most clubs in the league. But and I know Tottenham are fighting for top 4, but I wouldn't be surprised if Burnley got something at Tottenham. And
It depends, because
it's sad to say, but since Sean Dyche's gone, they're playing a lot better.
They've done brilliantly.
Spurs lose to Arsenal today, then I can back what you're saying, but just depends. I just feel like Spurs at home and they're in good form right now. I can't really see anything, especially
the only thing
Spurs
for
are
me,
weird though in that sense. Like the teams they play, if they went on that run with Brighton and Brentford, a small run, but they played a Brighton who congested the midfield, basically showed a blueprint of how to beat Spurs, and Brentford didn't allow Kane any space to pick out a pass, etc., and they couldn't create a thing. So when you lay out that blueprint, they're very reliant on having like a lot of space in behind and stuff.
yeah, for sure. I just think with Burnley, the result of the weekend it might be a blip, but quite alarming to me. I feel like that was a massive opportunity to grab more points, and they could have really settled the score, but they didn't manage to capitalise. So I just want a name. Who's going down? I'm going to say Leeds.
Flipping a coin, really is.
It really is 50-50 at this point.
Leeds
for me.
And I think Leeds would be worse for going down than Burnley because they're the month. I know they haven't spent a lot recently, but they spent £30 million on Rodrigo.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another day, I suppose. But I don't really think they expected to go down this season, and that's one that's quite sticky when you don't expect to go down and do. What do you, Matt? Who do you think?
I'm going to say it'll be like a proper dramatic deadline day, but I'll just edge Leeds, I guess. Well, not dead. You know what I mean?
Last game of the season.
Last day of the season.
Demille, are you making it full house? Leeds or Burnley? Yeah, Leeds.
Leeds.
So Burnley are going to be my West Brom from last year, and Burnley are staying up.
I remember that. Good times.
That means Burnley's going down.
Just finally, we did over a little bit, but massive game today. You might have already watched it by the time you listen, as this is going out on Thursday. The game is on Thursday night. Score predictions, Matt. Arsenal v Tottenham. A win for Arsenal secures Champions League football. A draw would still be a very good result. A loss blows it wide open. It is very big. I reckon it's a nailed-on draw.
Well, it's going to be a nailed-on draw.
You
know, Martinelli or Smith Rowe, whoever starts, is going to open the scoring. Then Son's going to equalise. Then 82nd minute, Tomiyasu bangs it. Bottom left corner, gets Champions League football. That's all I'm saying.
Man, you're holding 5 tomorrow.
If Tomiyasu scores, if Tomiyasu scores the winner in the 82nd minute, you can send me an Arsenal shirt in the post, and I'll wear it next episode. Sure. Yeah.
No, I mean on the actual game, I'll give like a brief, not much because, as you say, people might have watched it by the time they listen to this. But I'm very excited for the game. Like, very nervous as well, to be fair. But my biggest thing with this sort of game is I didn't want it to be a narrative decider. Like, I didn't want it to be like Spurs win, Arsenal are out of top 4, and that's that. Arsenal win, for them it's a narrative because if we win, it's done. And draw doesn't do them any favours either. But I mean, the main thing is they have to come onto us in front of their own fans, and yes, it's going to be could be an interesting one. But I think we'll edge it. But I could easily see a draw. I don't know what you guys think.
I just reckon it'll be a draw. I don't know. Just something's telling me. The big games where everything's riding on, they're always a draw.
I'm going 2-1 Tottenham. Some first goal scorer, Smith Rowe, and then Kane winner.
If that does happen, if Spurs do win, they do have a very favourable last 2 games. Arsenal's aren't necessarily difficult, but I feel like Newcastle and Everton are fairly more difficult than Norwich and Burnley.
Especially the situation Everton could be in.
Yeah.
That'll be the time.
But
yeah.
I think Arsenal will do enough to at least get a draw, and that means they're 1 win away, regardless.
I think they'll play for a draw tomorrow.
No. Yeah. They're not going to go all out to win it, though, are they?
You know what, though? I will say...
I'd like to see it. Well.
There are rumours of Ben White and Saka not being in training. I hope that's mind games. If it's not, then I'm 50% less confident.
Holding's done well, though, when he's come in there.
Saka starts.
No, but
worry, but
yeah, they have to play in a game like this. I'm sure it's just mind games. We did like Tomiyasu against City, but
mind with City.
We did that, to be fair. I'm not Arteta.
He thinks he's him. Yeah.
That's like when your mum tells you you're getting a pizza and you get one out the freezer. That's not mine yet. You can't compete.
No, I'm just saying that's what he did.
No, I hear your point. Just allow the troll. Yeah, that it will be certainly very interesting. Demille, Arsenal win.
Oh
Spurs win.
yeah. I'm back in Spurs. I feel like they just need to win, and they're in decent form. Home crowd. I hear Matt's points, to be fair, but they rely on space. But I feel like they just need a way to win, and sometimes it's scripted, you know. So I feel like it's scripted for Spurs to win and just make it an interesting title race. Don't kill me.
You know what? Next year, but not Spurs. I got a few more points just to add as well. One thing I will note is no team ever wins away in the derby. It's a Thursday night kickoff, which is some random, you know, the Sky Sports narrative, as you say.
If you didn't fake COVID tests, you wouldn't have that problem, to be fair. But
okay.
Not fake COVID tests. Call them off for one case. That was it, wasn't it?
That was a hilarious narrative because so many teams did that, and ours got pinpointed for some reason. But anyways,
probably just going to be fair. But Karen.
True, but silly. But yeah, anyways, Sky want the relegation battle, the title race, and the top four race to go down to the last second. So if you see an Antonio last minute header to win it against City, don't be surprised. I'm not being serious, but you know, Sky love a narrative. And yeah, on the actual game itself, like a tiny bit, our mid block has been brilliant. The way we press from the front as well. I think that'll be like interesting. We're very well organised sides, and it'll be a perfect match to Spurs in our 4-4-2. So be a very, very interesting game. I mean, yeah, it's one of those games where it goes beyond tactics and stuff, and it's just a one-off game.
Biggest North London derby years for me.
Biggest game for us since even bigger than Baku.
It's my favourite fixture in England, you know.
It does always deliver, to be fair. Where some derbies have got boring over recently, as it does deliver. So I'm looking forward to see how it Liverpool United, other than this season.
What's boring about that?
Right, not for you, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing how it pans out whilst we sit in 6th place, not even in the race.
It feels good to actually be into something at this stage of the season.
Yeah, couldn't relate. Yeah, that is all we got time for today. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. Obviously, no answers for the end of the quiz today because that was at the start. Let us know what you thought of that sort of a format. Again, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting us on all our social medias. The main one is Twitter at TM4Pod. So if you hit us up on there, you can follow all our other social medias through that. We post some more clips on TikTok, Instagram, like shorts from the pod, if that's more your thing. Again, if you're listening on Spotify, you can also watch on YouTube and vice versa. So yeah, thanks for all the support on all the platforms. It's a pleasure to speak to you guys as always, and we really appreciate the support. We are really enjoying recording these, and we plan to do it for a long time. So thank you guys for watching, listening to allow us to do it pretty much. So yeah, I'll stop the waffle. Enjoy the football over the weekend, and we'll see you in the next one.